subject matter we're dealing with is so incredibly large and laborious. It's huge and humongous, but that's what the masters of this world have. That's the way they operate, on a huge and magnificent level. They manipulate and exploit everything. And it's very difficult to find a place to start when you want to explain how cleverly put together this system that we live under is. We talk about a judicial system and an educational system and a system of government. The word system it's a Latin word for, in Rome, in the ancient Roman Empire, the word system was a term used for the sewer. We still call it today a sewer system. Consequently, all the systems that we have today are in the sewer. And it's filled with lies and deception and manipulation. And God knows that it's a huge subject. The words that are used in religion and institutions of government, words are very important. When we talk about law, noble, where do you get the word noble? It comes from nob illi. Illis in the Latin was a word and a term in the ancient Latin for the gods. The gods were the Illis. It's based on the old Sumerian word Ilu, I-L-U, or I-L-L-U. Ilu or Ili was the gods. And in Latin, the word nob was a high. Was anything high was nob. That's where people who act like they're high are called snob, because the word is nob. When you put nob illi, it's the high gods. Gives us our word nobility. Nobility comes from nob illi. And when you talk about the nobilis, or the noble ones, they are the ones who are referred to in the old European system as the authorities. They are the authors. They author, they write down and author the law, so they are the authors, or the authorities. So when you hear terms like the authorities are saying this and the authorities, my question has always been, who are these authorities who have written the law? And then you come to find out that most of our laws are based on canon law, church law. For almost 2,000 years, well over 2,000 years actually, Europe has dominated the whole world, and the Pope has dominated Europe. What you need to understand about the church is that there are two entities in one institution. The church, the Catholic Church in particular, is both a religious institution and a political one. But its real strength lies in the fact that it is a political institution. It is based on the raw use of power and the manipulation of governments, kings, rulers. And when you get into the church history, it's phenomenally interesting about how the mafia is connected to the Vatican, occultism on its very highest levels. The CIA was a Catholic institution in point of fact, because the 5 men who actually founded the CIA were members of orders within the Catholic Church. I don't know if you know this or not, but when Adolf Hitler finally concluded that they were, and the German Nazi High Command finally figured out that they were going to lose the war, and there was no doubt about it, they decided they needed to get out of town. Anyone would. And so consequently, the Russians in particular wanted to make darn sure that they didn't get out of town. And so the way the Nazi high command and the real authorities got out was through the Vatican. The Vatican provided Nazi passports for all of the high command to get out. And that was called a Vatican rat line, R-A-T-L-I-N-E. You can go back in the dictionary and look it up, rat line. It was the Vatican providing safe passage and money and new identification to all the high command of the Nazi party, and many of them were sent to Central America, South America, and the real cream of the crop was sent to Washington, D.C. And they were. I mean, NASA. NASA is an interesting word. National Aeronautics and Space Administration comes from NASA, N-A-Z-A, NASA. And NASA goes back to Nazarene, the Nazarenes. And when you get Nazarene, NASA, Nasi, and then the Nazarene cult, I mean, I always start in one corner and just work out because there's so much to talk about. But when you get into the Nazarenes, we're told that Jesus was from Nazareth. Well, in point of fact, there was no Nazareth until the 4th century. And so Jesus would have been dead for 350 years before Nazareth even existed. But there was a priesthood called Nazarites, and it was spelled N-A-Z-A-R-I-T-E. If you look it up in a Webster's dictionary, look up Nazarite, N-A-Z-A-R-I-T-E. It will tell you in a Germanic spelling and Anglo-Saxon spelling as N-A-Z-I-R-I-T-E, Nazi-Rite. And consequently, the point being is that the Nazis were financed by international banking out of London, out of New York, Morgan Guaranty Trust, Chase Manhattan Bank, Chase Bank, which became Chase Manhattan, Morgan Guaranty Trust, as I said, Citicorp out of Chicago, Bank of America, which was called the Bank of Italy. All of our major banks in this country financed, organized, and helped organize and finance Adolf Hitler. And consequently, when you start looking at how the church was involved through Cardinal Spellman to promote Nazism, fascism around the world, it's just an exciting and incredible story of betrayal on the highest levels. But my interest in all of this has been the use of words. Words and terms are fascinating. Concepts have come out of the Middle Ages. Ideas are expressed in symbols. And I'll give you some examples. Why do you have to go to court? The concept now, I'm not giving you a nuts and bolts footnoted explanation. I'm giving you a general overall concept. Why do you have to go to court? You go to court because you play basketball and tennis on a court. The whole idea in court is put the ball back in the other guy's court. So you get this, quote, team that throws the ball back over there, and they've got to pick up the ball and throw it back the other way. And so it's a game. It's playing on the court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Why? Because the whole thing is a racket. This is where we get the word. And the people who run the court system are the same people who gave you your judicial system. They've given you your religious systems, your educational systems. The entire superstructure of Western civilization is a racket. The entire thing is based on the manipulation and exploitation of the ignorance of the people. Let me read you something out of the Catholic Encyclopedia. Under Roman law, 2 sentences, incredible sentences. Under Roman law, Catholic Encyclopedia says, quote, the characteristics of earlier Roman law was its extreme formalism. It was extremely formal. You had to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and say it just right. If not, it don't fly. So it's got to be done according to extreme formalism. From its first secret administration as the law of the privileged classes, it expanded until it became the basis of all civilized legal systems. Again, characteristics of earlier Roman law was its extreme formalism from its first secret administration as the law of privileged classes. So what we call today and refer to in our language as the law, the authorities in the law, was first of all